Alright, here are the supplies that you need. Some sort of watercolors. Okay, I picked up this box last time I was at the art store, and as you can see it was on sale, but 12 color collection of Winsor Newton Cotman, and these are watercolor tubes. So since I have the watercolor tubes, then I also have a watercolor palette. These are gouache paints. This is my paper that I'm going to be using. You can see I've already done one page. I've done a few practice pages. This is the Canson Extra Large Mixed Media. You could also use watercolor paper. This is only 98 pounds, so you might want to have something more like 140. I've got a pan set of paints here if I choose instead to use these guys. They look like this. This is a nice little travel set, but it has a lot of green colors, so that might be one reason why I would use that. A thing of water, your plant that you want to draw or paint, or you can have an image, a photo of your plant. Move my box out of the way for a second. You could do all of your work with a water brush, pencils and pens, sort of random over there, paper towel, and then I also have a set of brushes. This is a lot of brushes. You don't need this many brushes, and we'll talk about which brushes I decide to use and why. Okay, let's get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and just start sketching the plant first. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch the pot that the plant's in, just really lightly with my pencil. Just using a regular number 2 pencil for this, nothing fancy. And it's okay if my lines are not perfect right now. I just want to get the basic shape down. And the pot has this top part of it. And I kind of have a shape like this for the top of the plant, and then, or top of the pot, and then I don't think I'm going to draw and paint all of the leaves of my plant. The plant that I have that I'm looking at right now is that jade plant you saw earlier when I was showing you the supplies. I'm going to probably just pick a few of the stalks to kind of paint in here today. It's got some big leaves down below. Those will be pretty dark though, I think. You don't want your pencil line to be too dark here. This one's a little bit darker than I would like, but it's alright, it should work. You can always use a little bit of the shading from the pencil line to, you can always use that in your painting too. Remember as you're going that the leaf shapes, really keep an eye on them more than on what you're drawing. It takes some practice to do that, but the leaf shapes are not all going to look like you think of when you think of a leaf, you know, like they're not all going to just look like this. So be thinking about really kind of seeing the shape of each leaf, and then how they're connected to the rest of the plant. There's another stem back here, and then this one kind of curves like this. All right, and then we've got more plant stuff going on here, and I need to come back and add on over here. So let's see, let's put, we've got kind of a flattened leaf because it's coming at us, and then this one is, you do see more of an actual recognizable leaf shape out of that one. Another one that's kind of coming at us. looks more squished in. All right, I might go back then. I've got a different eraser. White eraser, and erase some of these lines that I might not want. That eraser's not working, but this one ought to work. Get rid of some of these extra lines that I don't really need. Some people, when they're doing watercolors, they erase all their lines. I'm not really concerned on this painting. I don't mind if I've got a little graphite showing through the watercolor. Kind of like the way that looks. And on this kind of like plant sketch, I don't think it'll be a problem. I'm actually going to go in and add some little bit extra shading here. And I think I'm going to actually do that on this dark part too. It'll just be a little bit different than I had originally planned. I can show you some of my photos of ones that of houseplants that I've painted that are done just with watercolor, and they really only have graphite at the very beginning. But I'm kind of thinking I want to try something a little bit different today, so I think that might look kind of good like that. I also was thinking I would use my brush and water and my watercolor set pan set. I'm going to get a little table line in here. This will be a very basic kind of a picture, but that's okay. So there's that. But I think I'm actually going to go ahead and use my pan set that I have here. I've got some good, this is a nice bluish green, and this is kind of a light green. And kind of mix some of these colors together, so I think I'll probably use that. All right, now we need to get painting. So to paint today, all I need is my water brush, if I can get it opened, that has water inside of it. And this kind of brush, you just fill this part here with water. Just fill this with water. And then they come with a variety of brush tips. This is a pretty thick one. I also have one that's more fine than that. It does take some getting used to, because you have to squeeze the water out of the brush, and it's definitely different than using water and brush. So if you're used to that, using your water and brush from a jar and then mixing it with your paint, it definitely is different than that. I'm going to start with my lightest today. I'm actually going to pull in, seems a little bit odd, but I'm going to use this kind of yellow color mixing on my palette down here first a little. And I want this light green, but I just don't want it to be a pure light green. So I've barely touched this paint, but I've already gotten it wet because my brush was a little bit wet already. You really, after practice, you'll see you won't even be thinking about it, and you'll be squeezing for water, and then it'll take you some time to get used to using the other paints again with the regular paints and brushes, or the tube paints and brushes, I should say. There, I like that color. That's a nice green color, I think. And I'm just gonna start. What I'm doing is I keep looking back at my plant. I actually spend more time looking at the plant than I do at the paper, determining the parts right now. The light is coming from the window here, sort of to the left of the plant, and I just want to get the lightest parts of the plant, the parts that the light is really picking up. I don't always do this. Sometimes I'll do the darks first, but I think because there's a lot of light hitting this plant right now, I really want to get the light kind of before it changes. It's really hitting these stems, and then kind of like really light up here. So this is thinner paper, but if I want to just, you can see I squeezed right there and I got a whole bunch of water. So then I kind of can keep using that paint up here. Let's see, it's kind of hitting over here. I left out some of my leaves on my plant when I was doing this, so I have to stretch this out a little bit, stretch out my paint a little. Hitting that one. Might be hitting this one a little bit more, a reflective kind of a light from this guy. He's going to be pretty dark. I'm going to use a darker. Oddly enough, the light is coming through and hitting these guys down here, just the tips. So we can put in some light there. And I want just a little bit, I think here, maybe a little bit more right there. All right. Now I'm going to get, so I have in my palette this green here, and I'm just going to take, just want to show you what this green looks like. So I squeezed my brush again. I'm so used to doing it with this brush, I forget to tell you that I squeezed it. So here's my darker green, and I think I kind of want a combination of the two. Like this is too blue and this is going to be too yellow, so I kind of want to mix and see if I can get a combination. You see, I'm very not particular about what's happening with my watercolors. I can always clean them off later. As you can see, they're not super clean. That's better. Do you see the difference between this? This is the blue-green color that came right out of the pan, and then this is it mixed with the yellow and the like greenish yellow color. So let's take that as the next darkest color and kind of blend that in. Okay. I might want to leave, there we go, some little white spots. Yeah, and if you have your paper towel, you can blend it in with that too. Some of these guys down here, I'm just going to go ahead and put on some full green. The jade plant that I'm looking at has a little bit of a red color on there, so I'm going to come back and do just the tips with one of these purpley reds that I have in this set too. So you see, I haven't had to go back and get any more paint. I still have plenty of paint, of this paint on my brush, so I can use that. I have to do something with these stems. They can't just be pure light color. They have kind of the dark color here. And then this guy back here, he's all going to be dark, so he's going to need some more layers on him. This guy is light. Oh, and I just added a little bit more there. This guy has a lot of light on him. Actually, I'm going to leave a little bit that. There we go. Oh, we forgot to do, let's put a little bit light on there. Forgot to do that stem. I have to go back and fix that one. There. So I'm working pretty quickly. I tend to work faster than I think you're really supposed to, but I'll go back, fix some of these guys. Now I actually think I'm going to pull right from the yellow here and give this guy a little bit more stem definition here. Oh, it's at this point where I don't like what I'm seeing, and I have to come up with a plan. This is when don't let yourself get frustrated at this point. If you start to get frustrated, just take a deep breath. It'll work out. It's just getting it how you want it. I'm gonna grab my paper towel. So a lot of times if you're changing colors, or if you have too much, like I had a lot of this on my brush, you can just squeeze the brush to get the water back out, to kind of clean your brush off. Okay, so I'm going to reactivate with a little water this lighter color that I had, and I'm going to I kind of want to combine. I like how it worked on this leaf, but the rest of them, they didn't blend as much as I would like them to. Maybe they weren't, maybe the light color had dried a little bit too much. So I'm going back in, I'm kind of trying to blend them. Again, I have a light color on my brush, you see me doing something kind of unusual here. I'm actually touching the paint with my fingers. I'm trying to combine the colors a little bit. I'm just kind of smearing it. You could do that with a paper towel as well.